Every day, people walk these streets unaware of a rising blood disorder that causes unbearable pain and life-threatening complications. In this documentary, I uncover what sickle cell is, touching on real stories, expert insights, and the work of charities fighting for change. I'm Chanel, and I'd like to raise awareness about sickle cell disease. It's to my understanding, people don't know completely or know little at all, and I'd just like to put that to the test. Let's see what the public knows. First stop, Hackney Central, a place that's always moving. It's known for its diverse community, but when it comes to sickle cell, do they really know what it is?
I've heard of it. I don't know too much, but I've heard of it.
What do you know about it?
It's a disease that black people get. I don't know too much detail about it.
You know, I've probably known about it about 15, 17 years.
Oh, okay, and how much do you know about it?
Not a lot.
Nothing much, but it's very dangerous, so that's how I knew about it.
And where did you first hear about it?
In a hospital, because I got health problem, and I'm in and out in a Homerton hospital. So when you're sitting there talking to the people about it.
Not so much, but I know it's around and I heard of it, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know it can be a very disturbing one.
I'm not sure exactly how it works in respect of disease, but I know it's basically a blood disorder. Most people, when they have it bad, they have to have blood transfusions and change the blood over. So they put fresh blood in and get the blood, but over time it re-affects them.
As I suspected, the vast majority of people knew near to nothing about sickle cell, and that's really disheartening to me. It proved just how much more educating needs to be done, especially as it affects over 8 million people worldwide, primarily affecting those with African, Caribbean, Middle Eastern and Southern Asian ancestry. And according to NHS blood donation, 300 babies alone are born with sickle cell disease each year in the UK. Though to truly understand what sickle cell is, I'm making my way to speak to physician associate Abigail Coyote, who's a very big advocate on the condition. So what is sickle cell disease?
Sickle cell is an inherited blood disorder that causes your red blood cells, which carry oxygen around your body. Usually they're meant to be a circle disc shape, but what happens in sickle cell is those red blood cells now become a crescent moon shape, like a disc. So usually your red blood cells are able to travel normally around your body easily with no issues, but when they're that crescent moon shape, it's harder for them to travel around your blood.
How does someone know if they have sickle cell? Is it inherited? How would they know?
So sickle cell is inherited. So what happens is a lot of people, you need to know your genotype is the main thing. So a genotype is basically like an inheritance pattern that you inherit from your parents. So there's something called the sickle cell trait, which is AS, and there's something called sickle cell, which is SS, and there's another one called AC, which is another hemoglobin variation. There's not a lot of letters, but what basically happens is if your parents have two of these genes, so AS and AS or SS and SS, they can have a child that has sickle cell basically. So that's why it's really important that you yourself knows your genotype for if you're planning on having children or getting married, or your parents know for you to give you that information, because if you get with someone that is AS and you're both AS, there's a 25% chance that you have a child that has sickle cell, or there's a 50% chance that your child will also carry the sickle cell trait and can pass it on to their child, and basically we're just passing it down with each generation as we go.
What is a pain crisis? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, so a sickle cell crisis is when those red blood cells, they're traveling around the blood, then they build up in a specific area. It's usually mostly around like joints, like maybe your elbow, your knees. And what it is that they'll get stuck in that area, so blood can't flow through. So that causes a lot of pain for the person having the crisis.
How often do people go into hospital because of a crisis? Is it every day? Is it once a year?
So that's really just dependent again on the person. So some people get crisis quite often because it also depends on the trigger. In the cold seasons, it's usually worse, and you find there'll be a lot more patients coming in with a crisis because cold is a big trigger for sickle cell, or like a really quick temperature change at all can also be a big trigger for a sickle cell crisis. But it depends on the person. I really always say that because that's the thing about when someone comes in with a crisis. Some people might say, but your pain doesn't look as bad as this person or anything like that. Every person's case with sickle cell is so different because you can't judge it.
I know I've heard that it can actually affect their vital organs. Is that something that can happen?
Yeah, so with having a crisis, depending on where the crisis is, it could really be fatal. So there's something called ACS, which is an acute chest crisis. So if someone's having a crisis in their chest, that's very dangerous because that could stop their breathing, that could stop their heart, that could result in a stroke. So depending on where it actually is in the body, it could actually be very dangerous to their organs.
What are the misconceptions that you hear surrounding sickle cell?
In healthcare, there are quite a few. I mean, I think one of the main ones in healthcare is that patients with sickle cell are like just drug addicts seeking opioids and just looking for a fix. Because what happens with those pain crises is a lot of the time, only very strong opioids can help a patient in that time.
I have seen everywhere, right, is the lack of support within the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can suggest that may help this or change people that do suffer that so that they can feel safe within a healthcare environment?
So specific to the person or specific to healthcare professionals?
To both, really, because when I think about it, a lot of people that do have sickle cell, all of their stories are identical
Very
in terms
similar,
of
yeah.
not being heard, not feeling that they're being treated correctly, being misjudged. What can be improved to helping patients, and also how can we tackle it within the healthcare system so that this doesn't continue?
Yeah, I think it starts from education. Like when I was in PA school, we were taught about sickle cell, but it was very obviously kind of like a quick thing. And where I was practicing as well, where I was going to school, it was predominantly white area as well. So even when I was on placement and I would ask, and I saw a patient with sickle cell and I'd ask them, oh, what's your protocol for this? People didn't know. They had to go start searching it up on a computer, or like they were just confused about it. And it's like, I always say, if you saw a patient come in with like having a diabetic crisis of any sort, you would know straight away what to do with it. So why would like something that's like sickle cell not be the same? Because the thing about sickle cell is it is the fastest growing blood disorder in the UK. And the reason it's growing so much is because there's a lack of awareness and education on it. So it has to start with more education.
See, that's what I find so mind-boggling, because a lot of the times, imagine coming, like you've actually taken yourself to emergency care and the people in emergency care can't care for you.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you've gone that step and this is your last resort, if they can't care for you, who can?
Yeah.
So I really empathise with everyone that actually goes through that and they feel the disconnect between the two. Speaking to Abigail was insightful, but sad knowing the stigmas in healthcare. Someone who's felt this disconnect is Samantha, who lost her child Siobhan to sickle cell complications, a pain no parent should face. Her story reminds us what's at stake when there's a lack of understanding and care. Can you describe to me how Siobhan was? How was she?
So Siobhan was the brightest star in the sky. She was absolutely amazing. She was, anywhere that she went, she spread joy, love. She had a major impact on everybody that she met, even people that she didn't meet, people that just saw her. She just had, I think the best way I could describe her is she was a living angel on earth.
And did she have like a favourite song, a favourite dance?
She was a performer. She loved music. She loved musicals. So when from as long as she could kind of like watch TV and entertain, she loved movies like Moana, Annie. She's just anything that with music in it, singing. She was absolutely amazing. As soon as she was old enough, as soon as she turned 4, she started theatre school. So as I said, she was all singing, all dancing, always smiling, always bubbly, and as I said, she spread joy everywhere. So she loved music. I've got hundreds of videos of her singing and dancing because that was who she was.
You said that she liked Annie. Did she sing, do you know that It's a Hard Not Life?
She did It's a Hard Not Life. She did Yes, Yes, I think I'm gonna like it here. Yes, yes. Gonna like it here. I think I'm gonna like it here. You know, she loved it all. She'd watch it from beginning to end, over and over.
Was she close with her siblings?
She was very close with her siblings because she was the youngest. When she was born, my son was 18, my daughter was 10, so she was the baby. Within our family, she was kind of pivotal anyway, like for my mum. She was everybody's baby.
What's that?
starting school, her first day of school. I was so nervous, like my baby's going to school, and she was running off. I was like, just wait, kind of thing. And she's like, I know where I'm going, I can go. And I was like, well, can I get a kiss? And it was like bye. And I went and sat in my car and cried because she was so confident. She was everything that I wanted her to be, everything that I built her to be, because I knew the challenges that she would face in life, and I needed her to be strong, and she was exactly that.
And when did you first find out about her diagnosis?
So I found out about her diagnosis when when she was like, I'd say 4 weeks old, I'd say 4 weeks old. I was breastfeeding her, and then I had a missed call, and it went to voicemail, and it just so happened to be a voicemail from a nurse who was calling from the Sickle Cell and Haematology department. So straight away, just hearing that, my heart sank, and I said, I know these people are only calling me because it's very likely that she has sickle cell. Now I know that I carry a gene, I'm a hemoglobin C, which is still kind of like a blood deformity. So I know there was a 1 in 4 chance kind of thing, potentially. But when I heard that, my heart sank and I started crying. I felt really stressed, and I had to wait for the phone call back, wait for someone to call me back to confirm that yes, her bloods have come back from her heel prick to show that she does have sickle cell, and someone will be coming out to come and visit me to have a talk about it.
And when they came and spoke to you about it, did you feel like it was informative? Did you leave knowing that, okay, this is what she has and now I understand what to do?
So they like to say that SC is a more moderate form of sickle cell. So you have sickle cell anemia, and you have SS, which is considered to be more severe. And I think these are kind of things that I'm trying to dispel, because sickle cell is sickle cell. And whether you have SS or SC, there are different complications that come with both. Some may be more severe with SC that SS may not have. Those with SS may need to have blood transfusions more often, but may not have certain complications that SC have. And I just think that that's just another divide, rather than, you know, there's a big massive umbrella, and rather than looking at them as individuals, we're grouping them, and then we're also saying, okay, well, SC is mild, but here we are, my SC child is no longer here.
Did you feel as though because she had SC, they didn't think that her...
Absolutely, absolutely, because that is what is out there. You know, research shows that this is a more moderate form, but as I said, I know people with SC that end up in hospital even more than those with SS. It's about managing, it's about your knowledge, but then it is just about you as an individual and how your blood is sickling in your body. So we could be the same ethnicity, it doesn't make us the same, we are all individuals. And I think that is what gets lost in that translation kind of thing, and that is the problem, because now my daughter passing is classed as being a rare thing, because they don't expect, this is not common to do, this is not common for that, and this is the problem. You know, just said either way, you know, she was heightened because she had a vulnerability, she had a condition, but yet it went under the radar, and this is my problem.
And when you say under the radar, how did it go under the radar? Being in the hospital, I would say, from my experience and my personal opinion, that there is a lack of education amongst medical staff, whether that's nurses, doctors, what have you. But these are the ones that are supposed to be providing the care. Often I would have student doctors or nurses, and they don't have a clue what sickle cell is, but they're just here. So I am having to be her advocate kind of thing and say, look, she needs this, and it just seems that the attitude is just, it's not important. Well, yeah,
it's not important. She's just there, and they don't understand it. So there is an ignorance, so to speak. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult because nobody with sickle cell wants to go into hospital. Even my child, as a young child, there were times when she's in agony. And I say, right, we need to go in. And we'll be there and she can just about breathe because she's trying to control her pain. And she'll say, I'm okay now. I'm okay, I don't think I need to go. Because no one wants to have to deal with what's going to happen when you go in there. So straight away, she's going to need to have her bloods done. She's going to get poked. She's going to get prodded. Like, I'm dealing with this pain. I don't want to have to go through this. You know, nobody wants to have to go through that, whether they're young or they're old. No one wants to have to go in there. Adults have to deal with, okay, being seen as a drug seeker. But because maybe they're holding their pain or, you know, but this is what they do on a day-to-day basis. Try to manage their pain, but if anybody actually goes to hospital, they need the help.
At what age do you think she realised that she was different?
I would say when she started school. When she started school, she started to realise the differences because I had to put things into place. So in the winter, there'd be times maybe when she'd get sick and she'd have to stay home a lot more. Or in the winter, I would say that she would have to stay inside more rather than going out to play, or should have like time restrictions on how long she can go outside because it's really cold, and obviously being cold restricts your blood from flowing. So as a preventative, I'd say, okay, maybe she go out for 10 minutes. If it's really, really cold, no, she's not going out at all. So she'd have to stay inside while everyone was out. So that was hard for her, but it was in her best interest to do so. So that's when she obviously was noticing her differences. But the parent that I am, I would obviously kind of like encourage her to know that, you know, you're different, but it doesn't make you any less of a person. And you own who you are, kind of thing, and it's okay. And she kind of like, she showed that with one of her last videos before she passed away, with all the things that she spoke about in that video.
Is it okay if I can ask what she said in the video?
And she started to testify, and she just started talking about, you know what, my sickle cell doesn't control me, you know, this doesn't define who I am, you know, and if people don't like me or they want to tease me because I got sickle cell, I don't care because I'm not my sickle cell, you know, I am strong. And, you know, the only people that matter is my family, my mum, my brother, my sister, you know what, I'm strong and I want to be strong just like my auntie. And she was talking about her godmother who passed away.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so she obviously she had experienced that process, and she said, I just want to be strong like my auntie Yvette, and she kind of choked up at that moment, but she was just like, yeah, you know, I've got this.
And that in itself is just a testimony in just how strong you've built her up, and it just reflects the support system that you've given her. And I can't even applaud you more, because being a mother, seeing your child in pain, knowing that you can't really do much other than support her, and the fact that she saw that and knew that and actually said that to you is the beauty in itself. So at least you know within yourself that she knew her mum had her. She knew her mum was advocating for her. She knew her mum, if they don't listen, my mum will listen. So it's just lovely that she knew that within herself.
Pain, leave me alone. I'm trying my best to keep calm, so leave me alone. Even when it hurts, I won't care, because I'll be alright. And even if you say that I don't care if you say anything about my pain, because I know I can do this. No one tells me what to do. Even my pain doesn't tell me what to do.
Okay.
I know best.
All right.
No one tells me that I can't do it. No one tells me that I'm not the strongest warrior.
That's right.
No one.
Testify, baby.
And no one even be mean to me Just because I've got sickle cell.
Okay.
I don't care if they're doing that because I can just walk away.
Okay. And who's always with you?
My mum, my sister, my family.
Okay. And who strengthens you from above?
My family.
Who strengthens you from above? Who else?
Auntie Chin.
Auntie Chin. Okay. What about those people that are not here anymore or God?
And Auntie Yvette.
And Auntie Yvette.
Even if she died, I want to be like her. Like a strong warrior.
Oh.
Never want to let go of her. Even when she's died. Even if she's died, I'll still be there for her. Even if she's with God. I'll still be there for her every time she's...
I'm sure she'll be there for you in spirit. Yeah? She's your angel now, isn't she? Yeah?
And soon.
Hospital admissions, as soon as she fell asleep, I'd go in the toilet, I'd cry. Because it was so defeating, it was so hard that I had to, you know, my daughter's looking in my eyes like, Mum, please, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, Siobhan, you've got to do this. You need to have your cannula put in. We need these things to be done. I need you to be strong. I'd have to give her a pep talk and I'd have to hide my feelings because I know she's looking to me for strength to say, you know, and I'd tell her, you know, that lion inside of you, let that lion roar, let him strengthen you, you know, you can do this. She hated having cannula. She hated having bloods done, you know, and I had to strengthen her for all these things because it was in her best interest. And then as soon as she was sleeping, I'd have to disappear and go in the toilet and break down because it was tiring, because it hurt, you know, and it hurt her. It hurt me to see her in pain and I couldn't help her. But as I said, I knew this was going to be her life and I needed her to be stronger. You know, I needed her to take hold, and it sounds so horrible that from a young child, you know, that I had to be strengthening her and building her up because she wasn't like everybody else. But as I said, I needed her to be more than her sickle cell. And as I said, like her last testament, she showed that, you know, that she understood that and she knew that I had her. Even though sometimes I had to be firm with her at times, you know, I had to say to her sometimes, you know, Siobhan, can we go to school? Can we push through today? Because I know in life there's going to be times when you might be in pain, but you've got to go to school. You need to sit your exams. You've got to go to work. I need you to do it. And it's so sad and it's so heart-wrenching that even when you're in pain, you've got to push through. But this is the life of a sickler. So that's what I'm saying. When you reach to the hospital, it's not because you want to be there. It's because you have to, because you can't take it anymore. And that last admission, that night, that morning, Siobhan came to me and she said, Mum, I think I need to go to the hospital now. And that was the first time ever she had said that to me. You know, I think it's time. Little did I know that would be her last time that we took a trip to the hospital, and she hadn't had an admission for 2 years. Oh my goodness. 2 years she hadn't been admitted to a hospital because I would manage her crisis at home. But this one I just couldn't manage because the pain just wasn't, the cycle of pain relief I was giving her, he wasn't touching the sides for the pain that she was dealing or that she was having to deal with, and that is when we have to go to hospital and get stronger pain medication, which is morphine.
And I'm so sorry for your loss. I just want to just say just how strong you are as a person, and I think I will just have to keep saying it so you hear it, because you might hear it, but I want you to feel it in your heart just how strong you are as a person, because you've carried so much weight and you've held it all together.
I've not held it all together, but I've done the best that I can.
Holding it all together doesn't mean you can't get emotional. You can get emotional. That doesn't mean that you're not holding it together. Your child is a testimony as to how you've held it together. Can I give you a hug? Let me just give her a hug. God bless you. Can I ask how she passed away?
Okay, so Siobhan was admitted into hospital early hours Monday morning. So on the 1st of April, she was admitted. It was just after Easter weekend. She was in pain since Saturday. She was trying to manage her pain. She wasn't really eating. I had to be encouraging her to drink, so that's how I know how much pain she's in. It was Easter Sunday, and she wanted her Easter egg, and I was like, nope, you can't have no chocolate, no sweets, because your blood is sickling, and I need that blood to be healthy. I need that to kind of like go away. And I sat down and I ate some of my chocolate, and she's like, Mum, can I just have just a little bit, please? And I was like, well, a little bit of this. And I just ate it. She's like, Mum! So I gave her a little small tiny piece. But yeah, throughout that night, she just wasn't managing her pain very well. Pain relief wasn't working. So we went in on Monday morning. We got into the hospital about 7 in the morning. So she had her bloods. She was given gas and air, which she loved. Yeah, she shared her testimony of how strong she is. She's not her sickle cell. She doesn't care what people think about her. She's strong. She's amazing, and her family are what matters the most, and her love for God. Yes, but we went upstairs onto the ward. Again, she wasn't doing so well with her pain. So they ended up putting her on morphine, where it kind of like just streams. That took a little while for her to consistently be on morphine. The Tuesday, she was just, usually she's fairly quiet and she's managing her pain and stuff, but she just wasn't doing very well. She had wet the bed and things like that, and I had to be like saying to the nurses during the night, you know, get me some sheets. I ended up having to wipe down her sheets, her bed, everything. They were ready to put these sheets on top of the bed that weren't wiped down, you know, like I had to do all of this work and everything because, you know, this is my child. No, we're not doing this. No one was really interested. Like certain little things, I'd be like, you know, she's due her meds, like what's going on. As I said, I was her voice, and sometimes when I had to be like, she'd be looking at me like, Mum, please, you know, like, no, we're not going to do this kind of thing. You're here, you deserve this care, and you're going to get this care. But yeah, she was just, as I said, things like wetting the bed is not normal. Things like that. The Tuesday evening, she started to spike with a temperature. So I was watching that temperature kind of thing, but obviously she's on pain medication. She was on ibuprofen, paracetamol and morphine, which can mask infection, which medical professionals should know. But yes, so throughout that night, she was just there. And through that night, because she wasn't doing so well with her pain, that's when we got moved to a specialist unit where she's kind of like constantly watched. There's 1 nurse to 2 patients. So we was moving over there, and that night she was kind of like, Mum, can you lie down on the bed with me? And I was like, Siobhan, you know, you're getting big, kind of like me, and you can't fit on this little small bed together anymore. And she's like, please, Mum, you know, when you lie down next to me, I feel strong, you know, when you're not here with me, I don't. So I had to scoot up on the bed, and even with her pain, her arm hurting kind of thing, she, you know, was trying to make room for me kind of thing so that I could be beside her. These times I'm like, you know, on the bed, and then we finally got moved. Then I was on the end of the bed like this kind of thing, just making sure she got her rest and everything. And it just went downhill really quickly. It just really quickly. We went downstairs for her to get her x-ray because the doctor wanted to check that what was going on in her arm. But as I said, we went downstairs and Siobhan just wasn't herself. She was getting a bit yellow, she was sweating. I'm looking at her like something's not right. We went downstairs and had to kind of like, you know, the person that was doing the x-ray had to kind of like just pull her up a bit because you were being a bit rough with my child. And so she said, it hurts kind of thing. She's looking at me like, well, what do you want me to do kind of thing? No, be a bit more delicate with her kind of thing. Right. But Siobhan wasn't, I didn't know if it was the morphine or what, but she wasn't quite herself. And then when we went upstairs, I had to kind of like lift her out of the wheelchair and put her in the bed. And about 10 minutes in, she just kind of like just went off on one, pulled out all of her cannulas, and then she just kind of like just passed out. And at the time now, when I heard them kind of like make that call, and then everybody started coming in, and you know, I was bagging her kind of thing. An ambulance had come from Nottingham Hospital to try and transport her over to there, but they had to get her stable first, and her heart just kept on giving way. At this time, like probably about 4 or 5 times that her heart had stopped at that time. And that last time they said, look, consultant came and she said, look, her heart has stopped again. And we're trying. And that last time, I kind of like just knew. And then when she came in the last time, she was like, Samantha, I'm so sorry. And I was just like, okay. And then I just was like, it's okay. Like, just left them. I said, I need some air. And I got up and I just fell on the floor, just crying. Yeah. And they were just trying to call for someone to get here. I'd called for like her godmother to get here. She was in Manchester. She started driving to come down to be with me, and then she called me and she said, Sam, I can't drive. So she had to go back, and she had ordered a taxi to bring her. My mum was trying to get off to work to come, and her dad was on her way. Everyone was on their way, but it was just me. And I just sat there on the floor for about an hour. Like, you know, people were sitting on the floor with me, and I was just like, okay, you know, do you want to go in and see her? And I was just like, I can't. And then I was like, I have to pluck up this courage because she's alone there on the bed. And I've got to go. So I just went in there, and she still had like the tube in her mouth. I just sat there and just held her hand. She was still warm. They had her like wrapped up in her dressing gown and stuff, and she was just there, lifeless. Not the Siobhan that I know. And part of me wanted to just lie there for the night. They said I could stay there for as long as I want. And part of me is like, I don't want to feel I get cold. So I had to leave. I had to just get myself together because I knew I'd see her again. So I was like, okay, I've got to go. And I left the hospital without my child. I went home and I got on my bed and I just cried. I just cried and cried and cried. She was my everything. She made me the parent that I was. She was my everything, and I would have never expected to have gone into that hospital and not left with my child, but I knew something had gone wrong. I knew that something had been missed, something had gone wrong. And that I promised that, you know, her passing wouldn't be in vain.
People living with sickle cell disease face a range of healthcare complications because of the way this condition affects their red blood cells. They are prone to infections because sickle-shaped cells block blood flow to the spleen, damaging this vital organ that filters bacteria and supports the immune system. They're especially at risk when bacteria that causes pneumonia, meningitis, and salmonella. Prompt medical attention is crucial as infections can become serious very quickly. The sickle-shaped cells can block blood flow and break down faster than normal, causing chronic anemia, which means the body doesn't get enough oxygen. They can also develop jaundice, a yellowing of the skin and eyes caused by the rapid breakdown of red blood cells. And for children, The lack of healthy red blood cells can result in delayed growth and puberty. When the sickle-shaped cells block tiny blood vessels in the eyes, they can damage the retina over time, and this can lead to vision loss. One of the most serious risks is stroke, which can happen when sickle cells block blood flow to the brain. These complications are more than just medical facts, they're everyday realities for people like Nicole. Nicole is my cousin. She's been living with sickle cell her whole life, and today she's opening up about what it really means to grow up with the condition. So how are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. I'm feeling a lot better than yesterday.
Oh yeah, because I remember when I called you, you said that you was having a crisis,
yeah,
right?
I started having some pain in my arm yesterday. I still got some pain today as well, actually.
I've had some people say that they feel as though having a crisis is way painful than giving birth. Have you had that same experience, or do you feel like...
Yeah, and I think my pain threshold is a lot higher than normal people as well, just because of going through sickle cell pain and learning how to manage with sickle cell pain. But yeah, no, I would agree. I think sometimes having a crisis can be worse than childbirth, yeah.
That's crazy. Like, 'cause I haven't given birth yet. And every time I hear about it, the pain people explain, and I'm just thinking the fact that a crisis can be more painful than that, and this is something that happens like could be daily basis for someone, weekly basis, monthly basis, is actually insane.
Yeah.
And when you do have a crisis, what do they give you? How do you manage that?
So normally I start off with just like basic painkillers, like paracetamol, ibuprofen. I think because I have a full-time job, I try to avoid taking stronger painkillers until like I really, really need it.
Okay.
So I always start off with paracetamol and ibuprofen, and then can get stronger painkillers from my GP if I need it.
And then at what point do you say like, no, I need to go to the hospital?
I think it's at the point of where you got into a consistent routine of taking your pain medication, and the pain doesn't kind of resolve itself, or is not getting better or reducing in severity.
When you've gone to hospital and like when you experience a crisis, do you feel like they don't understand what it's like? For example, like, you know, when you would need to go and ask for painkillers, do you feel like they don't understand why that you need that dosage, or do you feel like you get...
Yeah, I think it's difficult. I definitely think they've been trying a lot over the last few years to get people's pain plans in place, so that when you do go to A&E, staff there know exactly what's expected and what you need. It has notoriously been difficult over the years, and growing up with sickle cell, trying to advocate for yourself and advocate for what you need. Every patient is different, and so the frequency of pain medication that you might need might be different to another's. And I think it's taken a long time for healthcare professionals to start to understand that. So yeah, it has been really difficult.
And then for you, growing up, did you feel like you had to like adapt your lifestyle a lot in order to avoid having like a crisis?
Yeah, I didn't participate as much in like PE or like going swimming and active stuff like that, out of fear of overexerting myself and ending up in hospital. So I was that kid that like never participated in PE.
Do you feel like that made you different, or made you like stand out with other people, and did they catch on to that? Because
I think it definitely made me stand out. I didn't care too much about what people thought about me, so it wasn't too much of an issue, but it definitely made me stand out because I was that kid, like notoriously, even today. If you ask somebody I went to school with, like, did Nicole ever do PE? They'll be like, who? Do what? It was like I wasn't even a part of the class.
Really?
To PE time, so yeah.
But did you want to do PE, or was it just something that you just...
I mean, I guess if I wasn't me and I didn't have the condition, I would look at sports and doing those things differently. But it's something I've always known. I've always had to be wary of overexerting myself and it leading to a crisis.
And when did you find out that you had sickle cell?
So my mum knew before I was born, so they do like newborn screening.
Yeah.
My dad has the same condition I have. and my mum has the trait. So she found out that I was going to have it before I was born, and I had my first crisis when I was about 6 months old.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh. And was it like from 6 months to, let's say, primary school? Do you ever remember like being in and out of hospital, or was it not as frequent as that?
No, I was in hospital quite a lot less now that I'm an adult. But when I was a kid, I spent a lot more time in hospital. It's really trialed and tested me.
Yeah.
Throughout my years. Almost got me kicked out of uni as well.
Really? How?
Yeah, so, I mean, like, when I transitioned from college to university, in my first year, my hospital admissions really increased. So I went from going to hospital maybe 3 or 4 times a year to 7 times a year in my first year of university.
Oh, wow.
So I was really unwell, and I found the transition and the stress and change in workload quite difficult. So I was in 7 times that year. I think that reduced to 5 times the following year. And by the time I was in my 3rd year of university, they were essentially trying to kick me out because my absence was so severely damaged.
Wow. The fact that, this is what I mean when there's like such a big disconnect, because the school institution should actually know and be aware and try and find ways to support you instead of actually kicking you out, because it's not by choice. No. You're not absent by choice. It's actually because you have to be and you don't want to be. And that's crazy, because I know how hardworking you are and how you're always doing something, always like nursing.
I know, right? I know, but even that, like, I think even my whole nursing career was sculpted a little bit by my experience of being in and out of hospital as a child.
And one thing I actually want to touch on is, in terms of medication, how did that transform from a child to an adult? Did they increase your dosage, or did they change your plan?
So a medication kind of increases by age and weight, per se. So medication was gradually being increased as you grow anyway. I think the only difference is that you're more in control of your medication. So where my mum might have taken a lot of the lead on when I take my medication and how often, that responsibility is now kind of passed over to you now that you're an adult.
You go from not paying for your medication to paying for your medication. Did you experience that?
Yeah, definitely experienced that. That was a big change.
Really?
And then, like, I remember going to my GP and trying to apply for the exemption certificate, and the criteria was so small, and I thought to myself, I have this condition that I have to live with for the rest of my life, and it's not, it's not recognised the impact that paying for prescriptions for the rest of my life might have on me financially. And I remember feeling quite disheartened, actually, by the fact that we wasn't going to get that exemption as patients with this long life condition.
And with you, have you ever had like a big scare when it came to like sickle cell? Has there ever been one where you're like, no, this is actually scary?
Yeah, I mean, I've had admissions that have warranted blood transfusions before, or blood exchanges. I also recently been told that I had a mini stroke that was seen on an MRI scan.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And when you heard that, like, how did you feel? So did you know that you had a mini stroke, or was...
No, I didn't know that I had it. It was found coincidentally on an MRI scan. It was picked up, and then I went back for further investigations.
I think that's what makes it even more scary. The fact that you didn't even know.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
Yeah, and if I never went for the MRI, I still wouldn't know that the sickle is impacting my body in that way.
That's so crazy. It's just like there's so many underlying things and like things you need to take into account for, that even if you are good, because you said that you don't go in as regularly as you did when you was younger, that you still actually need to check. So it's kind of easy to forget about it. Do you feel like you forget about it sometimes, or is it just like a constant thing?
I wish I could forget about it sometimes. I think there goes periods of months where you do forget about it, like I'm well, I'm just like on the straight and narrow. But we normally have follow-up appointments with our consultant like once every year, maybe once every 6 months, depending on how unwell you are. So you can never really
forget about it.
And obviously since I've recently been told that I had this stroke, they've asked me to have some treatment. So they want me to have 6 weekly blood exchanges. So that will be inevitable. That will be for the rest of my life.
Nicole's story highlights the importance of donated blood for people living with sickle cell. But right now, there's a real shortage of donors from Black and mixed heritage communities whose blood often provides the best match. That's why the work of Sickle Cell Society and their Give Blood, Spread Love campaign is so important, as one donation can save up to 3 lives.
My name's Sarah. I work as the project manager for Give Blood Spread Love. Give Blood Spread Love is a campaign that is focused on raising awareness for sickle cell and also encouraging the Black community to donate blood. So the Sickle Cell Society was formed in 1979 because of the lack of understanding of sickle cell disorder. It was formed by a group of patients and parents and healthcare professionals to support those in need. The society is service-led. Most of our employees either have sickle cell or live with the disorder, so they understand what it means to provide real support.
I wanted to meet the volunteers who make all of this possible. Volunteers who give their time, their energy and their hearts to make a difference.
My name is Vivian Osho and I'm a community advocate with the Sickle Cell Society UK.
Hi, I'm Brenda Smith. I'm a blood donor and I work for Give Blood Spread Love as a volunteer to recruit people from the Black and brown community.
And I'm Naomi. I work with these two here as well for Give Blood Spread Love initiative to help raise awareness on sickle cell.
What made you volunteer with Give Blood Spread Love?
So for me, it's about something personal because I actually have a daughter, that was born with sickle cell disorder. She's 25 now. And as a parent, seeing your daughter go through pain, like excruciating crisis, pain, on a daily basis, it's really heartbreaking. I feel the pain of other parents. I know what they are going through. So I thought that me coming out there to support the Give Blood Spread Love, I'm able to actually use my personal experience, to actually get people to actually come and donate.
I was on a personal journey on seeing for myself how much I can help other people, and I wanted to expand that and make that more of a regular way of life for me, and I was looking for companies that or charities that I can support and volunteer. And then I decided I want to stay in the area of the Black community and Black health, and sickle cell is something that I've known my whole life impacts Black people. So I decided let me contact Sickle Cell Society and spoke to a number of people who work for the society, and Give Blood Spread Love was the one that I stuck with, and I really enjoy it. It's a really easy way to feel good about myself because I'm helping someone, I'm sharing information, I'm sharing knowledge. So I may not be given blood that day, but just raising that awareness for me is really important to do. And I get to meet lots of amazing people and people Black people who've never even heard of sickle cell.
And Brenda, can you tell me your reason as to why you volunteer as well?
I volunteer because I didn't understand initially why people weren't coming forward. As a donor, sometimes I sit in a chair and I look round and I said, I'm in London, and why am I the only one? Why am I the only black face in here amongst 10, 12 people? And I look and I see the man who drives the white van walking, and I see all sorts of people walking in, young, middle-aged and older, but not always looking like me. Starting to see a few more, but not on a regular basis. I've been donating over 20, 25 plus years, and I can say it's gradually increasing. We make up, and I have to say the Black community makes up less than 2% of the donation community. It's increasing, but we could do better.
Do you have a personal story or example of a time when a blood donation changed someone's life?
So basically, I have not really had blood donation myself, but there is someone who is one of the community advocates as well, Bola by name. So she has benefited a lot from blood donation. Prior to her receiving blood donation, she used to have lots of crises. She used to be in hospital. So hospital used to be like a home. She's got 2 kids and a husband, so she's usually away from home all the time. So at this point in time, this was about, I think, 5-6 years ago, they've tried everything else, nothing was working for her. And her consultant, called and spoke with her and her husband that would she be interested, in exchange blood transfusion, which is another form of treatment, for people living with sickle cell disorder. Okay. And Bola said yes, so she went on that. They started that with her. They call it EBT, that's exchange blood transfusion. And as soon as she had that, that transformed her life completely. So she goes like every 4 to 6 weeks, to have that done. And without people donating blood, the likes of Bola will not be able to live like a normal life. With Bola, she's been able to get involved with her children. She could participate in parents' evening. She could go to church. So she's getting less pain. It's not as much as she used to before. And she's not always in hospital.
What kind of response have you seen from the community since launching the campaign?
Since launching the campaign, I think people are becoming a lot more aware that about sickle cell disorder. So it's a blood disorder. And they are wondering how can they help. Sometimes it's money, donating, etc. But it really comes down to blood donations. The more suitable blood in the system and the better matched blood there is, that's a better outcome for those who are living with sickle cell. And when we talk about sickle cell, we're talking about children and adults, and we're talking about regular transfusions or regular blood exchanges. And so if you think about blood donation, as a woman, the maximum I can donate as a blood donor is 3 times a year. And the maximum a man can donate is 4 times a year. So if you start to do the sums, if you think about it, there's nearly, 15,000 to 17,000 people who have diagnosed with the sickle cell disorder. So you can imagine now how much blood we need in the system, and from the black community, because we have a particular subtype called RO, which is a better match for people in the black community.
And what would you say to someone who has donated blood but actually hasn't made a habit out of it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think there's a lot of people who have done it as a one-off, and it's brilliant, and I'm so grateful that these people have taken the time to do it as a one-off. But the need for blood is constant, especially within the black community. There's a lot of black people that are relying on us to support us in blood donation. So as Brenda had discussed previously, that as a woman you can donate 3 times a year, and as a man you can do it 4 times a year. You can decide to do that as a group of friends, to say we're going to do this as a regular thing on one of our birthdays, we're going to make an appointment to donate blood, and you make it more of an event. It's so important to make it as a habit, because the need for blood is only going to increase as the population grows. The NHS need around 6,000 donations a day, just to kind of show how much donations are required. So making it a habit will really help your own community. We are relying on us to do that support.
What if someone wanted to get involved in your work but can't donate blood themselves? What would you advise them?
There's a lot they can do. So if they presented themselves to the NHSPT and been told for an NHSPT reason they can't donate, they must have brothers, sisters, cousins, friends, family. You become the advocate. You say, listen, I can't donate, but you can. And you encourage and you normalise it.
And that's exactly what I want to happen. Sickle cell is more than just a diagnosis. It's the reality for thousands of people every day. Behind every statistic is a life, a family, a story that deserves to be heard. Blood donation saves lives, but right now there simply isn't enough. If you're able, please consider giving blood. Spread the word, know your blood type. Talk about sickle cell.